Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS video for today, Tuesday, April 4th. Pretty much what we'll be doing on this one, going through a recap of yesterday's picks, kind of looking at the weather spots potentially for today, if there's any games that could be affected by weather. And then going into my core picks. After that, I'll throw a little bit of price picks, some of the lines that are standing out for me at this point in time. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. Also, if you guys have any questions at any point during this video, feel free to drop them in the live chat. If you have any questions, if you're watching on replay, feel free to leave them in the comments as well. Primarily focus on the FanDuel side, but if you guys have DraftKings questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I can try to take a look at them as well. But with that being said, the core picks for yesterday, the really bad part of yesterday, at least, was Zach Plesac against the A's. You know, the A's are not a very good lineup by any means. Zach Plesac had a very hit or miss spring, but he ended up with negative 12 points yesterday, only pitched one inning and gave up 6 earned runs. So that's kind of the detriment of yesterday. But as I did mention in my video, I would like to mix and match some of the pitchers around yesterday because there was not really that many guys that stood out. It was just trying to take advantage of some matchups and everything else like that. Not the greatest day for pitching overall. I believe Drew Rasmussen was the top pitcher, and then John Gray was second after him. Those were the only two, like 38 points or above. Everybody else was just a little bit hit or miss from there. But if you guys had a little bit better pitcher exposure, probably did pretty well yesterday. Then at first base, we had Jose Abreu, $3,300, had very good history against Matthew Boyd, ended up with 15.5 points, so he was a hit yesterday. At second base, we went with Nolan Gorman. He got to 12.2 points, so he was also a hit. And then Ryan McMahon, $2,900, got to 9.2 points, so I did give him a hit as well since he's under that $3,000 price tag. And then for Aaron Judge, who had very good history against Taijuan Walker, heading into yesterday. Not the greatest day for Aaron Judge, but $4,500, got to 9.2 points. So I did give him a push. You know, for a guy of that price tag, getting above 9 points is still a good thing. Obviously, we want more with the higher price tag, and obviously had very good history. Just did not end up happening yesterday, but still not a bad day by any means. The only guy that was a true miss yesterday was Zach Plesac at that pitcher position, which pitching is going to be a little bit more volatile, especially early on in the season. But with that being said, going to get off of, well, I guess I'll just leave this up on the screen at this point in time. So in terms of weather for today, don't really see too many games that are going to be impacted by weather. There's a couple spots that are going to be a little bit windier or whatever. Milwaukee is expected to have the roof closed since there is rain coming in through. As someone who lives in Wisconsin, that's kind of expected in this area as well. And then the only spot that we're really looking at in terms of weather today is down in Kansas City for the Royals Blue Jays game. There is a potential of a delay or rain out there today. One of my core picks is actually from that game, but if we do get more news as the day moves along, we'll be changing that core pick and have an update down in the comments. So definitely be sure to check that out as well. But with that being said, we're going to get over to FanDuel and talk about those core picks for today. So let me bring up the FanDuel screen here real quick. So just waiting on this to load. At the pitcher position today, Framber Valdez is going to be my favorite option. He's $9,800. So he's in that higher price range, but he's not as high as the top guys on today. So he is a very good price point in my in my personal opinion today. He goes against Detroit, whose bats have not had much life to start the season. They've been striking out at a decent clip as well. Valdez last year against the Detroit Tigers, he had 61 and 37 points against them. So he has some pretty good history there as recently as last year as well. So do like him quite a bit today. Going to be one of my top pitchers that I am playing personally myself, and obviously a core pick for today. Then we get down to, and I will say with Framber Valdez too, he had a decent first start. He had a pretty good spring training as well. Just want to throw that out there too. Then at first base, went with Pete Alonso today. He is 3 for 6 in his career versus Wade Miley with 1 home run. Do like stacking some of these Mets hitters, especially these Mets hitters that hit left-handed pitching very well against Wade Miley. And Wade Miley, you know, we know what he is at this point in his career. He's just kind of a guy that's not going to strike out a lot of people. He's going to give up some contact, pretty soft tosser and everything else like that. So don't expect too much from him. I like the Mets today kind of just in general as one of those stacks. Pete Alonso kind of headlining that way today as well. But if you want to get to some Francisco Lindor, some Starling Marte, Trent Grisham, if he ends up starting, Mark Canha is going to be on this core pick list as well, who hits left-handed pitching very well too. So definitely like the Mets as a stack today. And then at third base, ended up on Matt Chapman at $3,000. He is going against Chris Bubic today, who he is 3 for 6 with 1 home run against in his career. a slow spring for Matt Chapman. He's been all right since the season started, so I don't have too many concerns there. I do like the upside that he does present at $3,000, but obviously, if this game does end up getting rained out, we're going to have to make a pivot at that point in time. But I do have Jordan Walker as my outfielder. He could move down to third base. Obviously, I have my cheat sheet up on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, so you can definitely check out some other options there as well. But most likely for the core pick, if that game does get rained out, I'll go to Austin Hayes, kind of move Jordan Walker down to third base, put Austin Hayes in the outfield, kind of go from there. Similar price tag to Matt Chapman at this point in time. And then Austin Hayes does have pretty good history versus Andrew Heaney. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there as well. Then we get down to Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker, $2,500, the young hitter for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's got a hit in every single game that he's played so far in his young career at the major league level, going against another fellow rookie making his MLB debut in Dylan Dodd tonight. So that will be an interesting matchup there. I'm not sure if they faced off against it in the minors, but obviously there's no history at the major league level. So I do like Jordan Walker at a reduced price tag, saving some salary today. Obviously he has that flexibility to play third base or outfield, depending on where you want to put him. So definitely do like him quite a bit once again tonight. And then last but not least, we have Mark Canha, who is, I believe, $2,700. He's going against the lefty and Wade Miley for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's only 4 for 16 in his career versus Wade Miley, but he does hit it left-hand pitching pretty well. Obviously, Mark Canha is a guy that does spike some upside here and there, especially against these left-handed pitchers. So when I'm doing kind of these Mets stacks, it does make a lot of sense to include him in that stack as well. So definitely a guy I like today at his price tag respectively. So that's kind of where we're at. He obviously had the one big game this year against the Marlins too. Otherwise, he's kind of been a little bit hit or miss, but I do like those spiked upside games out of him. And especially if you're playing in GPPs, definitely a guy that could give you some of that spiked upside once again tonight. But that's pretty much what I do have in terms of the core picks for FanDuel. If you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, up $13,100 remaining, just under $3,300 per player. So a decent amount of money left over to spend, even though we're paying up a little bit for a pitcher in Framber Valdez. We're paying up a little bit for a first baseman and Pete Alonso. Definitely a lot of different ways that you can build tonight's slate overall. But I'm going to get off of here. I'm just going to go over my top stacks too as well. So the top stacks that I do have from my cheat sheet today, I have the Atlanta Braves going against Steven Matz, who is the starter for the St. Louis Cardinals. A lot of these hitters have pretty good history versus him, whether it's Ronald Acuna, Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna. I'm trying to remember who else. There's somebody else that does have pretty good history versus him as well. Obviously, left-handed pitching could have present some opportunities there for the Atlanta Braves hitters as well. Steven Matz is coming off a pretty good spring, though. He had a decent season last year in 2022, though, but do like the upside of this Braves lineup against him. Then on the opposite side of that game, the Cardinals, obviously talked about Jordan Walker a little bit, but I like this Cardinals team going against Dylan Dodd. There is some upside there, whether you want to play like Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Jordan Walker. You can play a lot of different options there to stack this Cardinals team against a rookie making his MLB debut and Dylan Dodd. He's a left-handed pitcher. So probably not getting to Nolan Gorman today. He's probably going to be sitting on the bench since he's not too far out there on those lefty on lefty matchups. And then already talked a bunch about the Mets stack against Wade Miley. Wade Miley being that left-handed pitcher, soft tosser. Pete Alonso has good history versus him. Mark Canha has decent history against him in our core picks here. Francisco Lindor, Starling Marte, you guys to look at as well. If you want to sneak in some other Mets hitters there as well, you could definitely do that as well, kind of mixing it up. Maybe not playing some of the guys that are the bigger names that everybody else is probably going to be on. If you want to get on like a Tommy Pham, if he's in the starting lineup, would make some sense as well. And then last but not least, I have the Seattle Mariners going against Jose Suarez. Suarez pitched against them 4 times last year. Not terrible results, to be completely honest, but some of these guys have hit him pretty well in the past. So mainly we'd be looking at guys like Ty France, Julio Rodriguez, Tom Murphy, the backup catcher, if he starts tonight, has decent history versus him as well. So a couple different options out there. There's a couple other teams that I did list on my notes on patreon.com/Coach Craig Sports for today's matchup as well that you could also look at. So definitely make sure click over there, small monthly donation, but you do get those daily MLB DFS notes Monday through Friday. And then if I do have time on the weekend, I try to throw it up as well. But with that being said, promised you guys a little bit of prize picks yesterday. We were looking at over total bases 1.5 for Aaron Judge. That one did not hit. Over 0.5 total bases for Nolan Gorman. That one did end up hitting. So those were the 2 that I mentioned. I mentioned kind of the third one that I like was Ryan Nelson over 4 strikeouts. Unfortunately, only ended up with 3, but gonna pause out of here, move over to the prize pick screen, and I'll show you guys what I'm kind of working with today. And with that being said, at the same time, I'm going to put my banner up as well. So this will be the code if you are brand new to Prize Picks. If you use this code, you get 100% first match deposit up to $100. When you first sign up. Helps you out a little bit, helps me out a little bit as well. But in terms of what I'm looking at for today, the Prize Picks that are standing out for me just in general, I have Trent Grisham over 0.5 total basis. He's going against Zach Gallen. This is an early game today, too. So if you guys are watching this video a little bit later in the day, you might have missed out on this opportunity. But 0.5 total bases. He's hit this 4 out of his 5 games so far this season. Been off to a good streak. There is a chance that he does lead off in this game, too, against the righties. So does look pretty good opportunity. Zach Gallen didn't look the greatest in his first start. We'll see if that continues once again or not. Hopefully for my fantasy baseball teams, it doesn't continue because I have them in a couple leagues. But definitely would like Trent Grisham once again today. And then we have CJ Cron over 0.5 total bases. He's off to a strong start to start the season, which seems like he does every single year. He's going against Julio Urias. He's hit him pretty well in the past, 7 for 24, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs against him. So do like him to get at least 1 total base against Julio Urias tonight. And then last but not least, the one that I throw on as my third one, I went under 5 pitcher strikeouts for Domingo Germán. He's not the biggest strikeout guy in the world. Not sure how many pitches he's going to throw tonight. So that is one that I do like just a little bit. I think there's a good chance that he gets to about 4. So that is a pretty safe play in my personal opinion. Myself personally, I took these. I put a couple dollars that, I put like $5 down just on this one to start. If there's any other ones to go throughout the day, you can obviously add them. If there's different ones that you like, feel free to mix and match. But I did do a flex play myself personally. Obviously, with the flex play, you only got to get 2 out of 3 right to make a profit. If you get all 3 right, you just make a bigger profit as opposed to your traditional parlays. Obviously, if you're still out there playing some NBA and stuff like that too, you can take some of these MLB props and mix them with NBA props or mix them with NHL if that's something you're into as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have in terms of the MLB DFS Core Pick video for today. Threw in a little bit of Prize Picks. Probably going to try to do this in the future too as well. Just having a couple picks that I like on the daily, whether it's 2 picks, 3 picks, kind of like today. Hopefully these picks, hit pretty well. Hopefully you guys make a little bit of money off that as well, but definitely do appreciate everybody that did take the time out of their day to tune in and check out. Try to be getting some starting lineups down in the comments throughout the day as they do become available. Obviously, if there's anything that does change throughout the core or if there's any changes to the core throughout the day, I'll update that down in the comments as well. If you guys have any additional questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, haven't already done so, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we primarily have MLB DFS and XFL DFS. I know it's the last week of the NBA season. Made the executive decision not to do NBA DFS this week, just kind of it's just kind of a mess the last week, if we're being honest. And some of these slates, just the time that takes to go into it alongside MLB and XFL, it's just a little bit more than I want to take on at this point in time. So going full force into baseball, hopefully that comes out pretty well for us just in general. And then, in 2 weeks, we got USFL DFS coming up as well. So I'll be doing some previews for that as well as the first week picks for that as well. Definitely be sure you have that notification bell turned on so you never miss a beat with any of this DFS content. Got some NFL draft interviews up on the channel as well. So if that's something you're into, definitely be sure to check those out as well. But with that being said, that's really all I have for today's video. Once again, I do truly appreciate everyone who took the time out of your day to watch this video, whether you're watching live or on replay. Definitely means a lot to me. And I hope that each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.